Welcome to Parks and Cons, a companion podcast to the parksandcons.com website and YouTube channel where we discuss cons, theme parks, collecting, and other fun stuff. It's May 10th, 2022, and I'm your host, Carmel. Parks and Cons is your on-the-spot podcast where we take you to the heart of the action of the best conventions and themed entertainment events around. Today, I'm recording with the good people who are bringing us Comic-Con Revolution to the Ontario Convention Center on May 21st and May 22nd. Mike Scigliano and Drew Seldin. How are you guys doing?
Good, Carmel. How are you?
Good, thanks. Sorry, that's kind of weird for me because it's so rare. I don't know that I ever really have done the introduction for a podcast. So this is kind of unique for our listeners to have me being the voice because Sean is occupied with non-fun, non-Parks and Cons world stuff. And so we tried to get this schedule where all of us could be together, or it's not together physically, but at least recording. And Sean is basically today's his work day. Started at 6 a.m. He left the house and he's not expected to be home until after 8 tonight. So he's very saddened to not be here, but that's kind of a unique experience for everybody to hear me do the introduction on this podcast. So
Carmel, I don't want to say it, but people are already talking about it was far better than anything Sean ever does. So if you're looking to branch out and be on your own, I think this is your opportunity.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. But
I'm just saying. I mean, from what I'm seeing, the internet's a flutter. That's all I'm saying.
Well, clearly. I mean, I'm sure it's trending already because these things are that important.
100%.
I think so. How are you guys doing? It's been a bit since we've spoken.
Yeah, we're great. So happy to obviously be doing shows again. It's something that we love to do. It's something we've always loved to do. And again, just being back is so great.
I agree.
How are you doing, Mike?
Doing well. We're excited to, we came back in December with our first show. It was a long layoff and it's a short turnaround here. So we're excited to bring another great Comic-Con Revolution. This is actually our 5th anniversary, a year delayed, but a 5th anniversary of Comic-Con Revolution. So we're really excited.
Yeah, we were totally kind of surprised when you had announced, obviously, the December show, and then that you were still going to be doing the May show. We weren't sure if you were going to shift days or make it a bigger window until the next show. So when you let us know that you were coming back in May, we're like, wow, that's awesome. And a lot of pressure for you guys. How's that been going?
We eat pressure for breakfast over here at Comic-Con Revolution. But in actuality, it's a lot of work. As someone who goes to a lot of cons and talks about a lot of cons, what goes into these. And even though we like to pride ourselves on doing it very well, it's a lot of work. I mean, there's just so many logistical things that go into it. And, we were talking about it earlier, Mike, that we haven't had this quick of a turnaround since our very first year.
Correct. Yep.
And, you forget, you do something, you think, oh, it won't be a problem. We can do this, we can do that. And then you start to do it and you're like, wow, where is that extra 3 or 4 months that we had, that's just out the window. So, but the show is going to be great. I mean, it's Mike, like Mike had said, it's our 5th year, 5th anniversary show. We've got some great people coming. We're so excited. And the Inland Empire is just a great place to do a show. We love our fans out there and, we can't wait to be back.
Awesome. And we're excited to have you all back. For those of you listening, if you've never attended Comic-Con Revolution, it's a very well-run show and it's great for comic fans. I mean, if you're into meeting artists, getting autographs, buying books, there's lots of comic book representation there. It's a great show for that focus. And there's usually cosplay and lots of panels and stuff. So definitely a show that we look forward to every year. So.
Yep, we just announced our panel schedule yesterday, so we're excited about that. There's a lot of really different and unique panels happening, spotlights on some of our guests, and we got some panels on different types of genres, like as far as media is concerned and things like that. We've even got one on actual social media type of how these people star on social media and things like that. It's a very different and very varied program schedule, which is really exciting. It's something kind of for everybody, and that makes us happy when we can do that.
It's awesome. So what are some of the panels that you guys are most excited for this year?
Well, Drew?
I mean, there's a lot, but a couple of new things that we're trying this year. And you go to a lot of conventions and you see all the star cars out front and all the cars from the movies and whatnot. We're actually doing a panel with a lot of the creators of those, which is something that I think is going to be kind of fun. And it's a little off the beaten path, but again, for like Mike had said, for the car enthusiasts, that's something that I'm sure will excite them, and it's part of that something for everyone thing. But again, that's something really new this year. But I mean, we've got Tara Strong as a guest, so there's going to be obviously a spotlight on her. We've got a James Obar, the Crow panel, which obviously is going to be real exciting. What else we got, Mike?
One of the ones I'm looking forward to is Chris Claremont, Larry Houston are going to be on a panel together talking about X-Men from the comics to animation, kind of how they that correlation after writing 17 years of X-Men and then seeing the comics turn into animated series that was based heavily on what he wrote. There's a lot of fun that can be held in that, and I'm excited to kind of see what stories they have, because Chris is always entertaining, and then when you combine it with Larry and talk about the animation aspect, and I'm excited about that. That's one I'm looking forward to, and I'll make some time to make sure I get to go see it.
We have a very exciting Spider-Man panel planned with Jerry Conway and Mark Waid, and actually Ming's going to host it because it's the Wall Crawler's 60th anniversary. So that obviously is certainly going to excite people, because Spidey tends to draw a crowd.
He does, and so does X-Men these days. So those both sound very exciting.
Yeah. All the programming is up on ComicConRevolution.com. You click on the programming, tab, and like I said, they're all listed: times, rooms, people who are in it, description. So like I said, it's all there. All the information for the show is, again, ComicConRevolution.com.
Awesome. Yeah, Tara Strong is really fun to see on panels. We've seen her numerous times. Usually it's with the Titans panel and lots of the voice actors, but she herself, the way she transitions her voice is like crazy. I mean, just sitting in her panel, she's going from one voice to another, and she's done, I don't know what, like hundreds of different voices that we're familiar with or something like that. She's very impressive to see in person. So that's definitely one that we will try to fit in as because she's just lots of fun to see up there and jump from voice to voice. It's kind of crazy to see what she does up there.
Yeah, she's a very entertaining subject in the panel. Like you said, she's done so many different voices, and she can jump from voice to voice, almost having a conversation between characters. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely. Okay, so what else should we be keeping an eye out for at this show?
Well, we have our Cosplay Revolution contest, which is always fun on Saturday night. And then Sunday, we have our Kids Cosplay Revolution contest. The grand prize winner for the contest on Saturday night is, as always, $500 in cash. This year, it's sponsored by the Otaku Box, so they're excited to be part of our Cosplay Revolution contest.
Also sponsored by Dave & Buster's.
Yes, and Dave & Buster's, excuse me. Sorry, Dave & Buster's. What else can we highlight?
Well, we got the food trucks again, so you have a good mix of different choices, so you can kind of get outside, get some fresh air, go see the great, awesome star cars. They're going to be there all weekend. The food trucks will be outside. We've got laser tag upstairs again this year. We've got Artist Alley has actually been shifted into the ballroom this year to accommodate having all of our comic talent in one area. So we'll have all the comic guests. If you're looking to see them, they're going to be in the ballroom. So Artist Alley is actually going to have its own space this year.
Oh, wow.
So that's, really exciting for us as far as being able to really highlight the talent that we do have in comics, and that growth that really deserves that highlight feature. Be lots of nice signage out. We'll be giving out little bottles of hand gel again this year. So we've got that again. We've got security really set, and one thing we can mention is obviously things have changed, and as of April 1st, there are no longer any known restrictions that are put in place by the state as far as requirements for vaccine or for negative COVID tests. Masks are always highly recommended, but that's at your choice and your prerogative. So there should be a lot of fun, and we're doing our best to keep it as safe and clean as possible inside. And our attendees are great people. They did fantastic in December, so we expect the exact same thing in May next week.
Definitely. And we very much appreciate having the option as opposed to being forced or asked to wear the mask. I mean, we've since things all went to crap back in March of 2020, we've been careful, but we've always been doing as many things as we could, that was safe and stuff. And it's like, at this point, I mean, we're just very discerning about the mask thing. Like if we're in the Haunted Mansion stretching room, we put our masks on because they cram people in there. Right. But if we're outside walking around Disneyland, we don't wear our masks. But we definitely love to have that option and have it not be a requirement thing. So we're definitely happy with that. That's very cool.
Right. I mean, and the goal really is everybody's safety and their prerogative for it. So if you want to wear a mask, nobody gets upset. If you don't want to wear it, again, these are the choices that you have to make for yourself on a personal level.
Right.
So you do what's best for you. And, we don't look at it we look at it as a way of trying to give everybody the best options they have so that things can be as safe as possible. The buildings have the air handlers. They have all the stuff that they're required to have. They've had them for years. It's, stuff that was OSHA regulations from years and years ago. So they're already got the air handlers that are doing the best they can. And for us, we feel good, and we feel good about how we're doing the best we can because our families all work the shows with us. It's a family-owned event. It's not a corporate big monster event like, some of the other events that kind of happen throughout the country. We are owned by 3 partners, Drew, myself, and James, and our families work with us, and everybody that comes and works at the show, we've either known them for a very long time or they've become part of our family over the last 5 years. We've had people with us I've worked with for 10, 15 years that we turn to and rely on. So we want to make sure everybody is as safe as they can be, but we also want to make sure we can do all the fun things we want to do and realistically enjoy life while still being as safe as we can.
Definitely. And it shows, it definitely comes across that you all actually care about the experience and stuff. So I know that even when there have been hiccups with whatever type, that you guys are very quick to try to address them and get them addressed as quickly as possible so that people aren't outside fainting in the sun or things like that.
Right.
So we definitely appreciate all that. Now, in regards to exhibitors, are there any exhibitors that you're particularly excited for this year? Because I know it's a very long list that you all have.
We've got a nice long list this year, which we're kind of excited about. I mean, one of my favorites is always the Wild Bill soda guys because they make 18 billion different awesome sodas. So you get your mug and you kind of can go get a cup of soda and you're walking around with that mug of soda the whole time. They're always one of my favorites to see at the at any show that we do. There's so many great comic vendors. We have, I mean, Drew, you can argue with me if you like, but I think we have one of the largest mixes of comic vendors, from modern comics down to bronze, down to silver. And, very rarely does anybody really bring gold comics very often to any shows anymore because they're harder and harder to come by and people are parting with less of them. But I think also, it's 70 years since the golden age ended at this point, more than that, 80 years, so, 70 something. So you're seeing less of that, but we've got great vendors that bring in a ton of different comics that if you've got a pull list that you're looking to try and fill in stuff from the 80s, you can do it. From the 90s, you can do it. From the 60s, 70s, you got a good shot at getting some good comics out of there. And those are all clustered kind of in the center of the show floor, which is where we like to kind of put them. So they're all kind of really together. We've got some great toy vendors, pop vendors, pin vendors, some clothing vendors. We have some comic publishers. We got Aspen. We've got Storm King. We've got One First Comics. Top Cow is going to have Matt Hawkins will be there. we've got a lot of great mix of vendors, which is really exciting for us when it comes to the exhibitor list, is that it's not all the same type of vendor when you walk down, the aisle.
Yep.
And we do our best to try and mix them up, except for obviously the comics, because everybody likes to be together, because you know what you're looking for. You don't want to go from halfway across the floor and do that, which is great. And a lot of these guys are all old friends, so they kind of will say, I don't have that book, just go over there and see this guy here, go talk to Brad, he's got it. And they're not one to be against trying to make that sale. Even if they can't make it, somebody's going to make that sale if they don't have that book. So they're all been exhibiting together for years, so we feel really good about that mix of exhibitors. We've got some great cosplay guests this year. We've got some really exciting cosplay groups this year, the Star Trek, some Star Wars, a good mix. We've got the Doctor Who, and everything, new Doctor Who news this week. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people excited about Doctor Who again, with the new Doctor coming next year. So people are, I think, going to be pretty satisfied with the good mix of vendors, and we still add a couple before we reach the show too. That'll be may not be on the list yet because they haven't confirmed, but we have some more still coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, we very much appreciate how focused your shows always are on the comics and the comic artists and those types of things. So yeah, having them all central is really cool. And that's interesting that you bring up the golden age stuff and how it's becoming more rare. Just a couple nights ago, I think it was from our free comic book day crawl, Sean was like bagging and boarding the books he got and stuff. And he finds it very therapeutic. It's one of the things he does to relax at night when he's stressed about the work stuff. So
take a few deep breaths, tape on the back of the book.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't remember what book it was, but he opened it up. It was a 12-cent cover book. So it was a pretty old book. And he's like, this book is like 60 years old. Who knows what it's done in the 60 years? And now it's here. I'm like, okay, Sean.
But no, he's got a really good point. That book has been in how many hands over 60 years? And, it's interesting that every comic kind of has its own story, not just the story that's in the pages, but the story of the actual book's life. Was it bought off a newsstand? Did the kid keep it? Did it give it? Was an adult that bought it? Was it a kid that bought it? Did they give it to their son? Did they bequeath it? Like, was it in an auction? And now it's in your hands. You're kind of like, man, you'd love to hear that story of where that came from, especially if it's a book that maybe means something specific to Sean because he cared about the character or the book or whatever. And he's kind of like, I'd love to know the story because now I've got the book I wanted. What's the story behind this book before it got to my hands? I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it is something to think about, but he like I said, it's his therapy, and being on the show floor, having so many bins to go through is awesome. And I find it therapeutic too to go through bins. It's like Sean will send me his list because he's the one who keeps track of all those things. He's the one who's detail oriented and stuff. He's the one who organizes the books and stuff. He'll send me the list.
Does he keep a spreadsheet like I do on things?
He's not a spreadsheet fan, but he loves the notes app in his in the iPhone.
Okay.
And so he has like hundreds of notes of different things, his rankings of Marvel movies, his rankings, how he keeps track of the shows that we need to catch up on streaming since they're not all in one place.
I love it.
He has lists and rankings for everything. And the ranking thing drives me crazy because he's always trying to get me to rank stuff and I would rather not. And so
I feel the same way. If I like it, I like it.
Exactly.
If I don't, I don't. It's good. I don't need to level out if this is 10 good or this is 1 good. No, it's just good. I liked it.
Exactly. And then we do like our highlights of the year podcasts and stuff. His is always, he keeps his list throughout the year. He's always adjusting it. And me, it's like the day before I'll put together my list of what do I remember? If it was good enough, I'll remember it.
It's a good way to do it.
It works for me. And anyone who listens knows that I've like repeatedly, mine are not in any specific order, but the next one I'll discuss is this one, whatever. But anyways, back to the comic book stuff. Yeah, the being on the floor and he sends me his list of what he's looking for, what we're looking for, and just standing there going through and stuff. It's very relaxing and therapeutic. And so the fact that there are so many opportunities at your show in particular, is really cool. And we go from vendor to vendor and keep an eye out and know, well, what's price are they charging? And let's see if we can find it somewhere else or whatever. It's a lot of fun to go through bins and appreciate the comic books and stuff. And then the fact that it's all centralized is a really cool thing at your show. So we appreciate that.
You know what? We're continuing to grow, and every year we have to make decisions on how to adjust the show floor and adjust the building usage, and how can we get the best experience for our attendees, while creating something that's as possibly strong a flow as we can, so that you can get in and out of the show floor, make it to your panels. And one of the things where people go, oh, well, the aisles aren't really full. They aren't really full. I'm like, yeah, that's by design. We try to get people spread out. We want people to go into Artist Alley. We want people to go into the panel rooms. We want people to go outside. We use the building. It's a campus. It's not a convention hall. It's a campus for us. And we use the square footage of all the building to give people ample space, especially in this COVID era now. We try to give people ample space. We don't want people huddled on top of each other. I mean, I don't really care for that in general anyway. I like to have a little bit of room when I'm looking at books. And if I'm going through back issue bins, give me a couple of feet around me. I don't need somebody right up next to me, kind of things like that. So I like that there's the flexibility that we can create that opening space, and even though our attendance grows every year, we've been able to come up with ways to spread that attendance out throughout the entire campus, so that, maybe we're up 10% this year versus last year, but we found ways to spread that 10% out evenly, so it doesn't feel like you're just packed in there and uncomfortable, and that's to us is very important, because I want people to feel that comfortability and that, like you just feel good. You don't want to walk with your 8-year-old and have to hold their hand close to you, and then you're worried about them kind of getting lost because there's so many people. I've been down that road as a parent, and I like that they can, have that room and walk down the aisle and it doesn't feel cramped, and you can stop and talk to a vendor, and you can stop and ask them, hey, here's my list, can you help me find these items? Do you have any of them? Those are great positives to what we've been able to accomplish with the design and the layout of the show.
Yeah, you've been very creative, and I don't think you've always taken up the whole convention center, right? You started with a much smaller footprint and have grown over the years.
We did. We started with one hall. Drew, what hall was it? Was it Hall A?
It was Hall B.
It was Hall B, right? It was the smaller Hall B. It was smaller Hall B, which is, I think, like 45,000 square feet, something along those rounds. To the point now where we take the entire campus up, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 175, 200,000 square feet. And that's probably not counting the outside of the building where we put our cars and registration entrances and things like that. We try to utilize the square footage in a way that makes sense, and still leaves a lot of space for attendees to have exciting things. Like we use our lobby space for a lot of different things. And we use a space between the ballroom and the show floor for different events, like some seating is out there and things like that. So we can kind of be in a position to give everybody, a break sometimes. You want to kind of sit down, eat something, have a break. We hate to kind of not have spaces like that. So we've been able to kind of find some unique places in there. And the building has, 3 different cafeterias, 1 in the hall, 2 in the show floor. And then we have the food trucks we mentioned earlier outside, so.
Very cool. Now, most of your shows, you have like some sort of wrestling side to things. I'm not into wrestling myself, but are there any things to do this year for wrestling fans at your show?
Yeah, I think the wrestling fans are going to be pretty fired up. Sammy Guevara is coming. Taya Conte is coming. The American Outlaws, Billy Gunn, and
New Age Outlaws.
The New Age Outlaws, excuse me. What did I call them? The American Outlaws?
Yeah,
What's wrong with me?
It's all good.
What's wrong with me? I'm slipping in my old age.
Mm.
Who else? Brandon Cutler's coming.
Brandon Cutler, he's a local Southern California boy. So it's nice to have somebody who's been successful in the industry kind of come back and be part of our event, and be excited to be at his local show. That's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, so those names, like I said, I'm not familiar with wrestling, but I assume that people who are know who you're talking about. So that's awesome.
They definitely will. If they're WWE fans, they'll absolutely know the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg Jesse James. There's probably multi-time Hall of Famers, but some of the biggest tag teams in wrestling. And then with Ty and Sammy, they're two of the biggest names in AEW wrestling right now. Very young, they're in their early 20s, mid 20s. So they're brand new the last 4 or 5 years in the mainstream. So, but they're amazing. They've done crazy matches that I'm shocked that these people can do this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they do it, because honestly, jumping off a 20-foot ladder or whatever it is and landing and not breaking your leg, I'd probably break every bone in my body just by getting off the first step.
Totally. Yeah.
So, but it's there's a lot of really, really cool stuff. And the thing about the wrestling is that the way it kind of carries into what we do is it tells a story, much like that comic that we talked about earlier, how that story got there. There's a storytelling. I mean, obviously they're characters like they are in a movie or a TV show, and they're characters and they play that character on the show. And, it's why a lot of people seem to gravitate towards that. It's storytelling in a manner of like comics, because they're basically superheroes, but they survive. Like I said, the guy jumps off of a ladder that's 20 feet in the air and lands on the ground. I don't know how he survives. It doesn't break his leg. I would, but it's all
Mike,
part of that.
Further to that point, I mean, you're also talking about heroes and villains, which
Yes,
is what makes wrestling
exactly
as entertaining as it is. You are rooting for the hero to defeat the villain because he's so dastardly and evil, and he needs to be stopped. And it's very, like you said, it's a very similar dynamic.
And sometimes you're rooting for that anti-hero who, he's just a tough guy or a tough girl, and you kind of want to see that. And they tie into stories and movies and things like that. As far as like the way you would tell a story in a movie or a TV show, they do the same. They just do it kind of live, so it's a unique form of storytelling. And one of the panels we have that weekend is, they're on panels to talk about what it's like to be these characters. Then you have some wrestlers that never break character. So you can't even put them on a panel like that because they refuse to break character ever. Wow. So that'd be a unique panel because they'd be in character in their panel. So for us, we find there's always a tie back to the concept of what we do. And I think in the end, to tie everything together about the show is that we try to put together an event that lets the attendees celebrate what they like and what they love. And, and meet people who celebrate the same thing, who like the same thing and celebrate that together. So you can love wrestling and you can love the storytelling. You can love comics. You can love Golden Age books. You can love Silver Age books. You could love, the artist. You could be more into the writing of the comics. You could be into cosplay and the creation of the costumes, which sometimes are incredible. Some of the costumes we've had at the show over the years, and I've seen, there's this aspect of looking at something you really enjoy and being able to celebrate that enjoyment with people you don't even know that love the same thing you love. Animation, voice actors, cartoons, TV shows, comic books. That's what we do. We create that environment and we help facilitate that experience to celebrate what you love.
That's awesome. And that definitely is a great environment for that. And your shows, like I've said, are welcoming and they are comfortable, and you can meet up with people and make friends and hang out and find a space to just sit down and eat lunch and take a break. And yeah, it's awesome. And the fact that you do have these different avenues where people can kind of connect with and stuff, and then maybe find other interests that are connected to it. Because wrestling, like I said, I don't watch it or whatever, but we have watched it in the past and stuff. And yeah, you're right. There's the drama and the storytelling and the athleticism. It's like, it's all comboed into this one thing. So I totally get why people are into it. We have many interests, and that one is one that has fallen off the board over the years, but that's a very valid point. That's cool. And let's see, and are there any things that are, obviously there's the kids cosplay and stuff, but is there any others activities or entertainment that's geared, just for the younger ones that kids can hang out and do stuff or experience or appreciate, whatever, a thing for kids or specific for kids that is going on this time?
Well, we're going to call it for kids, but I wouldn't be shocked if an adult or two participated. But we tried it in December and it went great. We had laser tag upstairs.
Yep.
And you can purchase one game or an all-day pass. And obviously that certainly is always a hit. I mean, you're living out your Star Wars fantasy there, blasting someone and jumping around and acting all silly and whatnot. But like I said, that's going to be upstairs. And again, while we'll call it for kids, it's certainly going to be for everybody. As far as, guests and stuff for kids, I mean, we've got Daniel Logan, who was young Boba Fett in the movies as well as in the Clone Wars. So I'm sure that'll attract
we've got a couple of great panels that are geared towards kids. We've got Kids Can Cosplay Workshop, which is going to help kids with how they can put together cosplay costumes and questions they can ask and, kind of start that early. We've also got our Revolution Academy, which is hosted by Patrick Scullin. He's going to be teaching how to create and draw your own superhero in a panel. So, there's a lot of really unique things, plus the kids cosplay contest, obviously on Sunday. But
also not forgetting that kids 12 and under are granted free admission with a paid adult. So
exactly. So we love kids enough. I mean, we've all got them. I mean, Drew's kids are a little older than mine. So his kids may be older than mine, but when they get there, they're all kind of the same. They just love it. They have a great time. They don't want to work. They want to kind of have fun. But sense. No, the kids free. Drew makes a fantastic point. You can get, a weekend ticket, Saturday ticket, Sunday ticket, and bring your kids in with you and make a nice weekend of it. And I know, money's always a hard thing to kind of decide what you're going to do with your money when it comes to families, so we do our best to make it as affordable as possible for families to come and enjoy the event. And as Drew said, given the kids tickets for free, 12 and under. And then we also offer a teen ticket. So the teen ticket is just a discounted ticket because we offer that from 13 to 17. So we do give ample ways to make it as affordable as possible to get in the door. We offer discounts for military, we offer discounts for senior, we offer discount for first responders, fire, police, EMS. We appreciate the community. We're a local community event. We appreciate the community and what our population, the community does for each other. And we want to make sure we always pay that back as best we can with things like that.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it definitely doesn't feel like one of those money grabby shows where it feels like, it's obviously not a one and done situation. You're here for the long haul. You've been here for a while. And yeah, you've always tried to make the shows as accessible as possible. So that's a really cool thing as well. And also you've been so generous as to give us as Parks and Cons tickets to give away as well.
Yep.
So if you're listening and interested in going to Comic-Con Revolution, you should go to our homepage at parksandcons.com. And at the top, there is a link there so you can enter to win some tickets. So those are available as well.
Excellent.
Yep.
Very cool. And then, so comicconrevolution.com, is it to?
comicconrevolution.com, ccrtix.com, ccront.com. It'll take you, whatever you can remember will get you where you need to go.
Very cool. Oh, I thought about you guys the other day. We were coming home, I think, from Disneyland or something, and on the 91 freeway, which is
see our billboard.
I did. Nice. As we were driving by, I like, Sean, you missed it. There was a Comic-Con Revolution billboard because it flashed away before he could look up. But then the next time we drove by, I caught it earlier, so I was able to point it out to him ahead of time. So that was a new thing for this time that I hadn't noticed before, or if you've done it before, I hadn't seen it. So that was a cool thing to see that as well. So clearly, you're trying to get the word out there and allow people to know that it's there, and it's truly an accessible show. I was even promoting it the other day. I went to Costco with my mom and I was wearing a WonderCon shirt, and the guy was talking to he was a more mature guy too, and he was telling me that they were supposed to go to some show, but then everything happened, and so they couldn't go. I'm like, well, you should go to Comic Con Revolution. He's like, but I've not heard of it. I'm like, it's in Ontario. He's like, oh, but that's probably too big. I'm like, no, it's a very reasonably sized show. You should totally go. So we're out there preaching.
Well, hopefully he comes. Hopefully he's listening to this podcast because he told him about the podcast and he hears about the show and he heard all the awesome things you can do and enjoy at the show. And he's going to say to himself right now, you know what? I'm glad I worked at Costco and I met Carmel that day because now I have a con to go to on May 21st and 22nd.
Well, I did give him my card, so hopefully he ran across him. I'm like, oh, I think that's that guy from Costco I saw the other day.
There you go.
Very cool. Okay, so is there anything else that you guys want to share with people? Obviously, you put a lot of work into it, and we're definitely excited for it. We'll be there both days. Anything else that people should know or that you want to let people know?
The only other thing, again, if you're looking to see what the guest list is, what the programming is, how to get tickets, all the info is up on comicconrevolution.com. But like Mike had said, I mean, there's something for everybody. If you're a Star Trek fan, we have Star Trek talent. If you're into voice actors, obviously we discussed, we've got voice actors for you. If you're all about wrestling, we've got wrestling for you. If you're all about, adding to your book collection, getting things appraised, it's all there. So if you like the genre, you're going to find something at our show that's going to make it happy, that's going to make it work for you. You're going to be pumped that you showed up.
Yeah, you said it all right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. We very much appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time to share with us and get us even more pumped up for the show, because you always do that whenever we talk to you. The passion that you guys have for the show always comes through and always gets us a little more excited for things. So very cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Definitely. We'll look forward to seeing you in about 10 days.
Oh my gosh, it's so soon.
Well, no, we'll see Sean and Carmel on Build Up Load-In because they come every year and they cover Load-In for everybody.
Okay.
Try to get people excited and show them what they have to look forward to. So that is the plan this year. So very cool. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate your time, and we'll wrap up here.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So we are definitely looking forward to attending Comic-Con Revolution on May 21st and 22nd at the Ontario Convention Center in California. But actually before that, we actually have a few things that we're going to try to make it out to. So we have the Disneyana show on May 15th out in Orange, the Robo Toy Fest on May 15th also, but that's in Pasadena. Then Knott's Berry Farm is starting Knott's Summer Nights and their summer events on May 20th. Then after Comic-Con Revolution, we will the following week be at Star Wars Celebration at the Anaheim Convention Center, May 26th through the 29th. Then a bit later, we will be at Monster Palooza, June 3rd through the 5th. Anime Riverside is going on June 4th and 5th. Then Haunt X will be at Fairplex June 11th through 12th. And then San Fernando Valley Comic Con is happening June 11th. We thank you for listening. And if you appreciate our work, please consider helping support the show by joining the Parks and Cons crew over on Patreon. You can find a link on our homepage at parksandcons.com. If you've not already done so, please consider leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, any place that reviews are accepted and that you listen to us. And if you can find us at Parks and Cons on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, of course, YouTube. And until next time, we will see you in line somewhere.